In this video and the one that follows it, we're going to be looking at comping techniques for music that we're very broadly going to categorise as popular music from before the 1960s, so 20th century stuff, but from before the 1960s. So I'm focusing on stuff that has its roots in jazz, essentially. So looking at mainstream jazz from the 30s, Broadway show tunes in sort of the golden age, 20s, 30s, 40s, big band stuff, Frank Sinatra, that kind of thing. Very, very broad, but the techniques we're going to look at here work for all of that category of material. We might broadly call them jazzy. Okay. Now, in order to learn about some of the comping techniques, we're going to look at a particular example of a song, or rather the first part, the first verse of a song. Here's the very first line. You will see a bit more of it. As you'll see, we've got it in lead sheet format. So we've got the lyrics, we've got the melody, and we've got the chords. I've chosen this song because it's quite quick, and it's always more difficult to comp along to quick stuff than slow stuff, so I thought, you know, we might as well focus on something that's a bit tricky. The song itself I wrote a few years ago for a musical, and it is a deliberate, slightly over-the-top pastiche of the kind of music that was kind of songs that were performed by Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack in the late 50s and early 60s. It's very kind of hammy. If every sound is music, that's the real thing. If strangers seem to smile, you've got it bad. Really kind of hammy and over the top. So we're going to look at some of the things we can do with this to comp along with it. But before we do, let's just get a clear idea of how the melody goes with the chords. To save your ears and your sanity, I'm not going to sing along because I've tried recording myself singing this and I sound hilariously awful. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to play the melody in the right hand with the chords underneath. Okay, here we go. Okay, ending on F7 there. You may have noticed, if you're a real hawk-eyed music reader, that I wasn't playing the melody exactly as it's written there. One of the things you will come across with sheet music from this kind of era, especially if it's jazzy stuff, is that the sheet music is very much an approximation of the tune. Yeah, so you're kind of expected to pull it about and work out what the jazzy melody you're supposed to be playing is from the approximation of the sheet music. Obviously, classical style of sheet music and notation like this isn't really designed for handling jazz. That's one of the topics I handle in my book, which I'll talk about at the end. But if you were following the melody and following the chords, you'll see that I was playing pretty close to the melody as written and the chords in the left hand. Okay, so let's go on and look at what we can do to create a comp from that. Let's imagine we've just got the lead sheet, you know, we've ripped out the lead sheet from a piano vocal score or whatever, and we want to create a really interesting comp. First of all, we need to think about the left hand. We've got a number of choices, and I'm going to look in detail at three of them. Very broadly, perhaps the simplest choice is what we might call a walking bass, or a scale walking bass, where we just do something like this. So, in other words, we're just playing about with running up and down the scale of the particular chord that we're playing. That can work quite well. It doesn't suit this song particularly well because it works better with songs that have a lot of chord changes. Our example, the real thing there, stays on the same chord or similar chords for quite long periods of time. So, for example, the first 4 bars are all variations of the chord of B flat. So that means we would be going up and down on B flat, which is quite boring. Walking bass works quite well for chords for songs that have very quick chord changes. Famous example: fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring. You get the idea. Okay, so walking scale-based bass is an idea, but it's probably not going to work here. Our other option is what's called a stride bass, and this is a very, very common kind of bass in jazz piano and music from this era. And it consists of playing a single note down there, followed by a chord, followed by another single note, followed by a chord, and typically we would use the root note, the fifth, the root, and the fifth. So that's B flat to a B flat chord, F to a B flat chord. That's, you can see why it's called a stride, 'cause it's striding about all over the place. If every sound is music, that's the real thing. That's another quite useful option. And the downside of that is that it's better for more medium tempo songs. As you can see, doing it at that speed, which is the speed we want to do this song at, is probably too fast. We're going to struggle. Okay, so option 3, and this is the one I'm going to go for, is the octave stride, which I call the bounce. And it's very simple. Again, we're thinking about the first and fifth notes of the chord, B flat and F, and we're just going to do this. Okay, so we're going to a bottom B flat, up to another B flat, then to an F, up to the F, an octave above, B flat, F. Okay, and we can bounce on quite happily like that at quite some speed. And when we change chord, the next chord is an F, we can go to and we can do other interesting things like this. Okay, the bounce is a really useful little one to use. I should say that I'm working on the basis here that you're playing this comp just with the piano. Okay, so it's you comping while you sing or while someone else sings, or maybe you're part of a very small group that doesn't have a bass or a rhythm section. Okay, if there's a rhythm section, you don't need such a rhythmic left hand because you've got a drummer and a bass player and whatever doing it for you. But this is the sort of thing you're likely to do when you're comping solo, or most particularly when you're practicing. And also, it's good to get into the habit of being able to support your right hand with a rhythmic left. If you are playing with a band, then it doesn't matter how rhythmic it is, you can get away often with just playing chords in the bass, just block chords, okay, and variations of that. Okay, in the next video, which is part 2 in this little two-parter, we're going to look about how to do those jazzy comps in our right hand. Okay, if you're interested in reading my book, here is a link to it to find out more. If you have any questions, I say in all my videos, I'm always very happy to answer questions. Please post them in the comments on the YouTube page where you'll find this video, or on the original Jamcast post where I've got it posted. If you're looking at it somewhere else, here is the address of the Jamcast post. Go right along, post a comment. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you're interested in finding the other posts in this series and looking at my other videos and the other videos that are tied in with my book, either dig around on my YouTube channel or go to this page, jamcast.co.uk/book, and you will find a full index of all the videos that I have produced and am producing right there. Okay, I'll see you in part 2.